Good morning. Well, this morning, our verses is going to be out of Second Kings. We'll go to chapter 4, beginning in verse 1. And a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying, Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant fears, and the creditors is coming to take my two sons to be slaves. Elisha said to her, What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house? She said, Your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil. Then he said, Go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few. Do not gather just a few. I love that. You know, with the times that we're going through right now, there's many people that are afraid of their financial situation. You know, they got debts, they got bills, and oh my goodness, and they go to the bank and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you got too much debt," etc., etc. Did you call on the Lord? Did you know that He will hear you? I think this lesson today is going to help someone out there in Facebook land because we are facing a difficult time. You can't work, there's no money coming in. If there is money coming in, it's very little. You do have bills, and fortunately, some are letting people extend, but others, they're drawing the line. But this story today about Elisha telling this lady, well, first off, he asked, What do you have? And she said, The only thing I have left is a jar of oil. And he said, Go gather your vessels, not a few. So she sends her son out. Her sons, she has two sons, and they go to all the neighbors around. And I'm sure the neighbors are looking at them crazy, like, well, what do you need all of these vessels for? But they did as they was instructed, and they brought these vessels back. And Elijah told them, whenever you bring back the vessels, you shut the door behind you and begin to take the one vessel that you have and pour into the new vessels, which they did. And they poured those one vessel that they had, they continued to pour. God supplied that extra oil in there, and they kept on going, and they filled all the vessels that the boys could come up with. And then the mom said, Well, go get some more. And the boy said, Mom, we got every vessel that's available to us. There is no more. So she still had some oil for them to use. Then she cried out to Elijah again and said, What do I need to do with all this oil? I've got it. He said, Take it and sell it and pay your debts. Oh, okay. So there's a lesson here to be learned. Number one, in, in place of calling on everybody else, all your friends and your neighbors and things of that sort for money to pay your bills, you need to call on the Lord. We need to get on our knees and let the tears fall and cry out to the Lord and tell him the needs that he knows what you need, but you tell him what you think you need and watch what happens. You see, we've got to do something. We can't just sit in our rocking chair and expect God to do anything for us. We have to do something. We have to cry out to Him, tell Him our needs, and then listen for the knock on the door. We don't know who it is, what it is, or how much it is. But when we cry out to the Lord, He hears us. Remember, He even takes care of the sparrows. Yeah, He feeds the sparrows. And so you and I have to rely on the Lord the same way the sparrows do. We cry out, and He hears our call. And watch Him supply our needs. Now, back to our story again. Can you imagine the boys? Number one, they was going to come take them away. They didn't say, well, hey, I'm afraid to go out of the house. They're going to catch me and take me off for our debts. No. They followed the word of the prophet to go out and gather up the vessels. So they did. And I can only imagine going back to the widow when Elijah told her to get a bunch of vessels, her saying, what good is that going to do? Quit questioning how and what and why. If God tells you to do something, do it. Do it. And see what happens. We miss out on so many miracles of God because we cry out to Him. He tells us, and what happens? Well, that ain't going to work. That's silly. I've thought this all up myself. It's just silly. No. God will place that still small voice inside you. And you listen. You pray out and ask God to give you the assurity in your heart that you're doing the right thing. I try my best to do that in every step that I take in life is to ask God, is that you talking to me or is that just me? I hope this has helped you today. May God bless you. Have a wonderful, blessed Sunday. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.